Bob Carney Jr. I'm running in the Republican primary for governor. This is John Aldrich. He's running in the Independence Party primary for governor. We called a news conference here today and sent a news release out. The media apparently are either unaware of it or deciding not to cover it. We will reschedule this, but we're going to record this event today only to make the point that it's important for the media to cover what is going on in our primary election. The fact is that there are primary elections in all three parties, not just the PFL party. The conference here today is to talk about what's going on with our public campaign financing system in Minnesota, which is under attack. And we're going to start with John, who's going to read the Gettysburg Address in its entirety, because that sets forth what the Civil War was about and what we were defending. So we're going to start with that, and then we're going to talk about this attack on political contribution refund program and the public campaign financing program in Minnesota following the Gettysburg Address.
Thank you, Bob. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in the great Civil War, testing whether that nation, or any nation, so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note or long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take the increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth.
That speech was given by the first Republican president of the modern era, and he set forth what we were fighting for then and what we're fighting for today. That is, government of the people, by the people, and for the people. This is under attack today, both in Minnesota and in the United States. We're seeing a new legal doctrine emerging where corporations can directly contribute money in unlimited quantities to support or oppose candidates for office. Until very recently, this was illegal, according to Minnesota law, and it was illegal throughout the United States. Justice Stevens, in his dissent in Citizens United, showed clearly that the court went far beyond what it needed to do in dealing with a situation where you had a movie that was arguing for political viewpoints, and that's freedom of speech, and of course that should be protected. But it's one thing to allow a movie a full length to be broadcast over the internet before election, and it's another thing to allow corporations to open up their coffers and take over the political process with advertising for and against political candidates. That's what we're here today to oppose. We are calling on all candidates for government of Minnesota, and we'll be calling on all candidates for the legislature to join in this demand that the Minnesota media must, as a matter of principle, refuse to accept any political advertising paid for by corporations that supports or opposes a candidate for state office. This is a decision that can be made by each news outlet. Star Trib, Pioneer Press, and major TV stations do not have to accept advertising that's paid for by corporations that is supporting or opposing candidates for state office. This is a total attack on the system of public campaign finance that has worked very well for Minnesota for years. The basics of that system are that we have the law providing for a political contribution refund. If you contribute $50 or $100 of your money, you're entitled to a refund from the state of that money. And that refund is money that you paid in taxes, because it is impossible for anybody to live in Minnesota for a year without paying at least $50 in taxes one way or another, through the sales tax if nothing else. In our state laws, this is part of the tax law. It is carried out by the Department of Revenue. This is a tax refund. And it's one part of the system that's also linked to the checkoff that you can choose on your income tax or property tax form to designate up to $5 to go to a political party of your choice. The way that our system works, candidates can agree to spending limits, and if they agree to those limits, then they receive a portion of that checkoff money on the income tax form, and anybody who makes a contribution to their campaign is entitled to the political contribution refund. This does not suppress anybody's freedom of speech. People are free to participate and not participate in the system. Historically, as close as the 2006 election, Speaker Swiggum told me in a videotape interview that every Republican candidate for the legislature is participating in the system. Here's some excerpts from that 2006 interview.
I personally, in my campaign, don't accept special interest monies. I accept no PAC monies. Swiggum Volunteer Committee that has turned back, in the number of years I've served, we're over $250,000 that have turned back to a special interest group. The money sometimes gets to be questionable because it seems like you're almost buying votes, you're almost buying access, or you're buying positions of people who will want to be your pawns. You know, special interest groups, they'd love to control me or any other legislator because they'd love to have pawns down here voting for them, right? That they can control. I refuse to be a pawn of anybody.
This has worked. It has helped to keep the domination of special interest money from controlling our legislature, and this entire system is under attack today. Both John and I call on other candidates in the running the primary to join with us in this demand that the media not accept advertising money when it is from corporations supporting or opposing candidates for office. We are going to be rescheduling this news conference and trying to encourage the media to cover this. It's something I've been working on since July of last year when I challenged the illegal allotment, not allotment, but the political contribution refund program. That case is still going forward in court. So we will be following this up with another news conference. Hopefully the media will cover that one. But we're going to hold the media accountable to the fact that we scheduled this one today. We told them about it, and they didn't come. They're not doing their job reporting on the political campaign that is going on right now in Minnesota. John, you want to add something?
Only this, that we have to be very much on guard for our liberties, and what you're covering in this brief is an attack on those liberties, and it's up to us as individual citizens to stand up and protect what we have, because if we let these issues go through, this is just the slow chipping away of the fundamental rights of citizenship coming to bear in the most critical of all litmus tests of citizenship, and that's the electoral process.
That's right. We have a government of the people, by the people, for the people, and we cannot allow it to become a government of the corporations